I'm going to turn that around so I can see myself talking. Just so I know I don't look like a complete idiot. This is an informal beginning to a video. Hello. Welcome to, is it
Whittlesea.
Whittlesea,
Yeah.
in the Shire of Cambridge. This is Ryan from Foot to Pedal Bike Fit.
Hello.
Do you want to talk about yourself for a moment?
Yeah, so we run a bike fit business, so doing bike fits a little bit differently. So we use, as Scott will tell you, we've just spent the last, hour and a bit basically going over full anatomical assessments before we even touch the bike. So we really focus on the individual rider before we kind of adjust the bike. So we know what adjustments we're making actually make sense rather than just guesswork. So it just makes it a little bit easier to get it right.
Yeah, for me this video is basically how close or far away I am from where I think I should be. It might be hilarious. It doesn't matter really. I've had a full assessment body wise.
Yep.
Let's see how hilarious this is, and place your guesses. Am I miles away? Right, so yeah, I'm going to let you tell me how to do everything, and
Yeah, so what we're going to do, we're going to get on the bike, sticky dots, nice and simple. That is just going to go on bony parts. That way when we do video 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever, we're using the exact same points every time. So a lot of people use lasers, little sensors, whatever. This is the same thing. We're going to put it into the software. That's going to give us the figures. We're going to put that in comparison to the figures we got earlier and kind of see how close it is and what kind of positions we need to put it in. Okay, so all I want you to do throughout all of this basically is just pedal like you normally would. So in other words, don't stamp on the pedals, don't go extra through, just pedal like you normally would on a normal ride. Just go and meet your mates. You do it 150 reps. If you want to get yourself and jump off, you more than to. Right then. Let's have a little look at these figures. So we found with you had a really good open hip joint and we had fairly long hamstring muscles. So that kind of gives us a little bit more scope to basically have quite a healthy saddle height like we've got already.
Yep.
But also gives us an idea how long and low you can go. So we've already discussed potentially you could probably go a little bit more aero if you wanted to in the future.
Just for reference on this, we're checking the angles of the hip to knee to ankle through the pedal stroke.
Yeah, so what we found is at around sort of 5 o'clock on the clock face of the pedal stroke, you're kind of topping out.
Okay.
So there is a little bit of a dead spot between sort of 5 and 7 where there's not a lot going on apart from knee and thigh basically just taking over. So I was cheeky, I'll kind of walk around and look at your butt. Basically the butt.
To see how much rolling I'm doing.
Little bit of that going on.
Okay.
Little bit of that going on. So we know your cleats are fairly far back. We're not all the way, we're about 3/4 of the way, aren't we, on the cleat position. So we can't dictate the angle of the foot a great deal with the cleat, so we've got to do it by changing bike. We're basically putting a lot of weight through the front of the foot rather than the meaty part of the foot. So in a nice walk, we need to do is kind of reduce that saddle height so we can actually see it, not only relaxation in the knee, but also the more natural angle of your foot.
Yeah, so how much does fore and aft make a difference to that first? Do you set the saddle height before you do anything else?
Yeah.
Right.
So saddle height and fore and aft is something we're going to come on to now actually.
Yeah, because one affects the other, doesn't it?
It does. Because if you come forward more, you're shortening the reach, you're changing the angle of the hips, you're relaxing the hamstrings potentially.
Yeah.
So you won't be surprised, but you are sitting quite far back because obviously this
Yes, it certainly feels like I am.
Yeah.
Because the reach, I don't tend to sit all the way to the drops, I tend to bring my hands slightly further back.
So actually having your position here is really crucial.
Yeah.
We need to make sure that is not all the way forward, but it needs to be balanced.
Yeah, because recently as you guys know, and I think I've mentioned on one of the recent videos, I moved this forward a bit. I think partially because it just felt like I was overreaching.
Yeah.
And partially because it came loose on the dragon rides, it sort of naturally ended up there anyway.
Yeah, so
And it felt better.
So ideally, we've got a little bit to play with. So so your knee, you can see that's miles behind the pedal.
Yes.
So in a nice way, we can we could push that.
So theoretically that can still come forward more.
That could come
Which in my head feels like it should.
Yeah, so in theory we're a couple of degrees out, so that's somewhere between 4 to 6 millimetres in saddle height.
Yeah.
So it's not a great deal, but it might be that we put it down sort of 4 millimetres, move the saddle forward.
Yeah. And obviously for me, this isn't a race fit at all. This is an all-round.
This is efficiency.
Efficiency. Because I want to be able to transfer 150 to 200 watts indefinitely.
Let's have a look. So we've got
Yeah.
the original adjustments here. So we know what your saddle height was. So what we're going to do, we're going to take a little bit out of that. And what we'll do is we'll basically just move this saddle forward gently.
Yeah.
And just put it forward. Because what we don't want to do is make your reach really, really short, crunch you up, feel like you need a longer stem, and then we've just cured one problem and created another.
Yeah.
Right, so we're just going to drop it down. A few mil. Nothing scientific, just a few mil, just so we can see how your ankle behaves and the knee. So what we'll do is we'll set that in the middle of the rein.
Okay.
Yeah, nice and simple.
Well, that's not an insignificant change, is it?
That's decent.
Yeah.
So we're looking at, I think it's about 15 mil. Like that. So what we need to do is have a look at how that affects the knee.
Yeah.
That will give us a bit more information about the angles, as in this might be miles too high, but it might be absolutely spot on now. So yeah, so it feels a little bit more natural, would you say?
Yeah, I'm clearly not stretched out as far, but I was expecting that because I know what changes have gone on.
So the interesting thing, before we even look at this, I didn't say anything to you, but the minute you got on that, your hands went straight into the nuts, as in...
Right, you immediately wrap the index finger around.
Yeah, straight in.
Because normally, well, you can see from the wear, these have only been on a few weeks. I am normally about there.
Does that cause any numbness in the hands?
No, I don't tend to get numb hands anymore.
No, okay. So you can see here, now we've got that kind of knee bang in the middle of the pedal.
Oh, okay.
So that is definitely a more neutral position. So what we do have in this position, we've got a little bit of leeway to go slightly back, slightly forward.
Yeah.
What we're trying to do is give you this kind of real narrow parameters to say, actually, you're within this tiny little 2-3 mil.
Yeah.
And as you know, riding is a bit of a progression. We get a little bit more flexible, a little bit faster, a little bit slower at certain points. You know, in winter you become a little bit slower because you're not putting in the efforts because you're not doing anything. Well, depending on who you are.
Yeah.
I certainly do. So that looks miles better. So that looks,
It certainly felt it.
yeah, that's a really good result. So
Okay,
regardless
good.
of what we see with the knee, your foot now is actually more stable and more usable. So in other words, if I said to you, right, I'm going to put your brakes on whilst you're pedalling, your foot's going to be in a stronger position to try and pedal through that resistance, basically. How does that feel? Massively different to last time or very similar?
It feels similar, but I feel like I can walk around the bike better.
Yeah. So you can move in your position.
Yeah, well, I've not had to adjust my saddle position at all. Normally I'm on dancing around a bit to find the comfort point.
Yeah.
And then occasionally move back and forward because I'll slide or I'm in the wrong place because of overreach.
Yeah.
I have to sit myself back.
Okay, good. So your reach, by moving that forward, it was about 19 mil, being really picky. We kind of took that extra little bit of excess reach away.
So there's a lot of difference though, isn't there?
Yeah, we were approaching 85 degrees. So now we've kind of come back towards 80, which is actually going to take the pressure away from the shoulders, the neck,
Yeah.
and actually put it between the hands and the butt fairly. Right, so I'm setting that laser in the middle of your foot. So obviously this cleat is dictating where your ankle goes. And obviously we've turned the foot slightly to counteract your natural standing position. So i.e. we haven't turned it all the way in because that just wouldn't work. We haven't turned them all the way out because that wouldn't work. In the nicest possible way, we can't put your cleats any closer.
Yeah.
Because if they do, they'll hit the bike.
And I would have to get wider pedals, but then that would put them out of line with my hips.
Yeah.
So I am actually narrow.
Yeah. You're actually quite a narrow hip person. So, yeah.
Never knew that.
Because what we can do, we could try actually kind of getting that cleat and just put a little bit less of a turn on it to try and keep it away from the bike a little bit.
If you're going to do long miles, guys, get good shoes. Because it's a difference between pain, no pain, and comfort at the end of the day.
So yeah, so that's good. So we've got the front end is actually really good anyway, because you've been doing a little bit of trial and error, which I think the actual front end of a bike is always a bit more personal. So if I said to you, oh, you need 38s and you need to turn the shifters in, I think that's a bad thing. You know, you almost want to kind of try it, which is why I actually have a sizable handlebar which actually goes in and out.
Oh, okay.
So if you didn't have a new set of bars, I'd say to you, right, let's find out what 38 feels like. And we'd put that on an adjustable stem as well.
Yeah.
So just to recap, your stem, perfect length.
Oh, excellent.
Perfect length. So you won't want any longer or shorter. It just fits really nicely. You'll reach using this bar and this shifter setup, and that saddle bringing forward actually kind of allows you to come in and actually just relax quite nicely.
Accidentally fallen into a good position there, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good to know. It's sort of, it backs up what I've not said to anyone on camera or anything that I've always felt, especially recently. I was a bit stretched out.
Yeah.
And it's probably one of the reasons why I've got saddle sores again on the dragon ride, because I was rotating too much, which adds to heat spots.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about earlier,
them.
wasn't it?
Yeah.
So friction, chamois cream, things like that. So
Yeah.
we've got a better platform down the bottom, which is why foot to pedal came about. But now we've got you in a really nice position, and that's kind of the bike fit.
Excellent.
The test now is to go and ride the bloody thing.
Yeah, so my first test for this is see how many laps I can do around the Nürburgring in 24 hours.
Yeah.
You can't have much more of a baptism of fire and a proof of concept for what you do as a job, basically.
Bike fit disclaimer: don't ever do that.
No, this is a terrible idea. But I'm good at terrible ideas. You should know that already.
Yeah.
This is just the next in a series of stupid things to do, but it worked out for me.
So if no one's ever watched a video with Scott in it, Scott's done some world records as well, so he's done plenty of riding, so he's very experienced at it. So I wouldn't recommend this as your first go, as in I wouldn't ride to London John the Groats just the day after a bike fit. So, but Scott's rode plenty of miles, he understands what we were talking about in terms of little adjustments and little changes we can kind of tweak. So.
And if it's not quite right on the day, I mean, this will sort out the rest of it for the day. My head will just power on. So thank you very much for that. I've got a lot to go off that, and with this you've emailed my digital measurements, so if I ever want to reset or to change anything, or if I accidentally change if I change components, I know exactly where to set things in the future.
Yeah.
And everyone's got a tape measure, haven't they?
Yeah. Whether it be really basic, like you measure from the nose of the saddle to the hood, whether you use an iPhone to put it on here to get the angle, you just use a normal tape measure, use a broom handle and mark it with a bit of tape, a bit of Sharpie mark, anything that helps.
Yeah.
So like if you're going to take your bike apart to put it in a box to go on holiday, you put a little mark near the stem or under the stem, just so it's out of view. Bit of electrical tape, anything like that helps.
Wonderful.
Okay.
So I'm going to leave again all of the details to Footwell Bike Fit underneath, and you can get in contact with these guys in Cambridgeshire. But Cambridge is close to everywhere. It's only taken me 3.5 hours to get here, and I'm on my way to Germany, so it's just a small detour.
Yeah.
Right, thank you very much. I'm going to have a beer
and a chill out.
or a rum or something.
Yeah.
And I'll see you guys in Germany. Are we recording yet? Yes, we are. Right, I forgot to do something, so I'm adding this at the end. How far away was I from my bike fit? So I've got all the answers here now.
Yep.
Fire away.
So in overall reduction in saddle height, so the saddle height was just the actual seat post reduction and moving the saddle forward, we've actually lost 10 mil of overall height. So quite a lot. So that's around 5 degrees of overall movement from knee and foot. But the big one was obviously moving the saddle forward, because that not only helped relax the back, the hips and the stability, it's actually reduced the reach by nearly 30 mil. So it's actually made it almost like another bike size smaller in terms of reach.
30 mils is not a small amount for a bike fitting. I mean, it is basically it's a length of top tube difference, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's
like a medium and a large.
From going a medium large to a large in giant terms.
Yeah.
That's like a 55.5 to a 57.
And let's not forget, in this, we are dead centre on the saddle placement, on the adjustment there, which means the frame is the right size for me.
Frame and stem.
And the stem is accidentally the right size through some kind of magic. I think that was Chris at Giant last year. So with my luck in previous and then your expert knowledge, I am now, as you say, sat comfortably within the bike.
In the bike rather than sitting almost hanging off the back of the thing.
Yeah, no, it doesn't look like I'm riding a giraffe. So, now you know.